Have you ever wondered what it's like to drive through the streets of Capitol Hill in Seattle? Hey everyone, it's Brennen Clouse, your favorite Seattle area realtor, and today I'm taking you through the streets of Capitol Hill. So if you've ever wondered what it's like to go through the streets of Capitol Hill, you've thought about maybe it's a place you want to live, or if you've ever just wanted to visit, this is going to be your video guide as we go through Capitol Hill. So if you don't know anything about me, my name's Brennan. I left Microsoft years ago to start helping people build wealth through real estate investing and purchasing and selling. And I've made it my mission to help people essentially broker a life that they love to live, specifically through real estate. Today, I am out driving around and I'm going to take you through the streets of Capitol Hill. So if you don't know anything about Capitol Hill in Seattle, Capitol Hill is one of the coolest neighborhoods in the city. It's bordered by downtown as well as East Lake. It's also bordered by Madison Valley and the Central District. And then on the south side, it's bordered by Yesler Terrace is the neighborhood I would call it. So it's just east of downtown, as I mentioned. Typically, I would consider Capitol Hill just the start of going over the I-5 bridge from downtown. And so that's where I'm going to start us today as we go through Capitol Hill. So we're going to start. So I'm currently driving through downtown up to Capitol Hill. So I'm going to take you to Capitol Hill from downtown. So you'll get to see a view of what that looks like specifically. So just to show you, we're starting here down in downtown. We're just crossing 6th Avenue. And what we'll do is we will enter Capitol Hill from downtown. So right now you can see that we are going past the convention center. They just did a big renovation on the convention center in 2023 and just recently opened it. It's the winter right now, but you're getting kind of a sunny-ish day in Seattle. So we actually have some sun. So right now, this is where we're going to start going over the I-5 highway. This is a bridge over I-5. And now we are officially moving into the Capitol Hill neighborhood and going up the hill. We are currently on Pike Street. Pike is one of the main streets of Capitol Hill. Pike and Pine are parallel and they run east to west. They have a little bit of a curve in them, but you're starting now to see some of the density of Capitol Hill. So you see we're passing the Starbucks Roastery and Reserve right now. A lot of Capitol Hill has shops, restaurants, and then we're going up into the more dense part of Capitol Hill. So you can see we have coffee shops, restaurants. There is a school here that we're passing on the right. You can't see as much. It's called the Northwest School. And then we're going into the thick of Capitol Hill. So right now we're about to be at Pike and Summit. And so you do see a lot of people walking around this neighborhood. Capitol Hill is definitely more of a neighborhood where people come out and explore. They're typically walking around. They are enjoying the amenities of living in Capitol Hill. That's a major reason that a lot of people will live here. There is this Amazon Fresh here. There's Belmont, which is a nice cocktail and wine bar that we just passed. You can see there's all sorts of restaurants as well around here. And a lot of the buildings were actually, prior to Capitol Hill becoming a popular place, they were actually automobile shops or manufacturing shops, car manufacturers. A lot of the names, like we just passed Pike Motor Works, have been named after these older buildings that they used to be before they became housing. We're passing Pike Motor Works and Red Brew Lab. We're coming up to Broadway, which is a major north to south street in Capitol Hill. On the right here, we have QFC, the grocery store. So there are groceries located. We just passed the Amazon Fresh as well. But we'll go past Broadway before we actually go down Broadway because this is a popular street. This is, I think, the north to south epicenter of Capitol Hill. So you get a lot of the action on Broadway. But more recently, from what I understand, over the past 10 years, the epicenter of Capitol Hill has moved from the north end of Broadway down south a little bit to where we're going to be right now, which is essentially the Pike Pine corridor, where you see a lot of the bars and restaurants. So we're passing like a dive bar called Comet Tavern. There's Quinn's on the right, which is a great burger place. You have Mexican food here. You have Cafe Vita, a popular coffee shop. There are all sorts of little shops and restaurants here. A lot of the LGBTQ nightlife is concentrated in Capitol Hill, as well as a lot of other nightlife as well. So there is a lot going on. The Unicorn is a famous bar over here on the left. You can't see it as well because there's trucks and stuff in the way. But we're getting up to 12th Ave, which is another major north to south. That's what we're crossing now. And this gets us close to the top of Capitol Hill. Now you can continue going up Capitol Hill. You'll see here in a second, we'll get to Madison Street, which runs at a diagonal northeast to southeast. And this is sort of the top of Capitol Hill. Not exactly, it blends really into Madison Valley and Central District, but you do see that we're kind of at the top of Capitol Hill. Now, we are going to take a left here at 14th Ave, and we're going to start going north from here. So before we were traveling east, now we're going to go north. I'm going to take you up into the northern side of Capitol Hill, and you can see a little bit of the architecture and what it actually looks like and what you can find in North Capitol Hill. Okay, so we just turned north onto 14th Avenue. You can see we still have shops and restaurants here. Omega Azuri, one of my favorite Greek restaurants, Artusi. We have still a lot of great restaurants in this area, and we're going to keep going north here out of some of the more commercial spaces into more residential. So you can see there's a lot going up here still. These are probably townhomes or apartment buildings. There are a lot of apartment buildings and condos in Capitol Hill, but you can also see there is a mix of older homes as well. So it's nice tree-lined streets here. Again, we're in the winter, so you don't see a lot of the foliage, but you can see like up here on the left, this is a perfect example of some newer townhomes that are in Capitol Hill next to an apartment building. So you really get a sense of what the neighborhood looks like and kind of what the architecture is like up here. We're moving more towards the north end of Capitol Hill. Now, the furthest north side of Capitol Hill is actually much larger residential homes. So we'll go up towards those and then come back on Broadway. Here's a great example of more new, more modern townhomes that are available in Capitol Hill, right on 14th. A lot of people, as you go further north in Capitol Hill, would tell you that 15th Avenue is kind of the northeast side of Capitol Hill, but it also goes all the way to 19th. So as you go further north, you also go further east and you're considered in Capitol Hill. So here's a good example of some condos and apartments that are here. Now we're going to turn east onto this street, which is John, and you'll see that there is a Safeway here. Up here, there's also a Macrina Bakery to our right that we're not exactly seeing in the view of the camera, but we're going up to 15th Avenue. Now, this is where I mentioned a lot of people would say that you are still in Capitol Hill, and I would agree with that. You know, you're still in Capitol Hill. It goes further east as you go north. We're passing Kaiser Permanente, so a big hospital system here. We just turned north again onto 15th. This is another little commercial strip, which is nice. So you have homes still to the east of where we are, or to the right, and then you have some to the west, to the left. And one of the major advantages of being on North Capitol Hill, especially on the top of this hill, is that you get views of the sound. So when we go back west, we may see some of those views coming down the hill closer to downtown. So like I mentioned, we are on 15th. So some more shops, restaurants here. Some of my favorites, like you see Riom 13 there on the left. That's a great one. There is a little home goods store, Achalando. That's how I pronounce it. I don't know if that's correct. Another coffee shop, Victrola. You have Coastal Kitchen up here, great brunch. So there's a lot of fun little things. Of course, wouldn't be Seattle without Uncle Ike's, which you can see there on the left as well, and Cafe Ladro. We're coming up to another Walgreens, which will be on the right here. So a little strip of everything you might kind of need, to be honest, here on 15th. Makes it super easy to come over here and eat or get the little amenities that you might need. So right around here, we're going to exit out of the commercial spot, and we're right here by Mercer is our cross street. And we're going to keep going north for a little bit so you can see the type of homes on North Capitol Hill. So like I mentioned, a lot of these are a bit bigger, mostly single family residential homes. A lot of the single family homes up here are definitely over $1 million in this neighborhood. They usually come with bigger lots, bigger yards, and are usually around the beginning of the 1900s is when a lot of them are built. A lot of them have been remodeled, but we also see a lot of new development as well in neighborhoods like this, where people will come in and create new properties or more modern properties. But you do see a lot of the beautiful homes here. So now we're at 14th and Valley Street. You can see here we're getting into a bit more residential. A lot of these nice, lovely homes up here as we get up to Aloha. Now, Aloha is another kind of east to west that will take you all the way from 19th down to downtown if you want to take it all the way there. We're right on the border of Volunteer Park as well, which is another reason that this is a nice area to live. You have access to that park. You can kind of see through the trees now that we're seeing some of the views. And that's a condo building in front of us as well that allows Airbnbs. And now we're going back down 12th Avenue. So I'm going to take you a little ways down 12th. And when I say down, I mean south. And then we will turn on to Broadway so you can see the north side of Broadway as well. So 12th, again, is one of our major north to south streets. You can see there are a few more townhomes on this street and what this looks like, a few more apartment buildings. And we're going to turn west on to Mercer here and head down to Broadway. So you'll get to see Broadway. Now, as we go west on Capitol Hill, the housing is a bit more dense. So definitely closer to those commercial areas, you see more dense housing because more people want to live down there. Okay, here we are. These are condos to your left here. So we're back right on Broadway. Broadway, again, is the major north to south. So now we are turning south onto Broadway. You can see there is some new development up here. There's an Orange Theory, there's Espresso Vivace, there's all sorts of different amenities here. Now we are passing the second QFC on my right on the west side of the street for Capitol Hill. So there's a QFC on the north end of Broadway and a QFC on the southern side of Broadway. So you have two different grocery options plus the Safeway that we passed earlier. Okay, it looks like we have a fire truck coming, so we're gonna let that pass. I come up to the north end of Broadway for lots of fusion restaurants, great coffee, literally a ton that you might want. Olmsted here, which I've done another video about on my Instagram, brunch spot. There's also axe throwing. I haven't done that, but I see a lot of people doing that up here and being able to, do whatever you want. The other thing that we will come across as we travel down Broadway is the newly opened light rail station. So the light rail connects all the way from south of the SeaTac airport up to Northgate, which is north, and it has a stop here in Capitol Hill, which is super great and convenient because it allows the neighborhood to be connected to the rest of the city. And so the stop is right here on the left underneath the white building. There's an entrance here where you can go in and out of the light rail. So we're passing that right now. This is a newer block of developed apartments here on the left that has sort of like a center courtyard where they have the farmers market on Sunday in Capitol Hill. And then you also have Cal Anderson Park behind that. So a really great place to be located. You have the park plus all of these amenities. There's also Solid Core, which I've also done an Instagram about. So if you want to see that, you can head on over to my Instagram. And we're coming back towards Pike and Pine, like I mentioned before. So we will be going south, or we are going south right now through to Pike and Pine. First, we'll cross Pine, which is the one that we did not come up. We came up Pike, but I will take you actually down Pine so you can see what that looks like. Again, Pike and Pine are parallel. They run east to west, a little sort of turn towards downtown as you get further downtown, but they are sort of the main epicenter of the Pike Pine corridor, people would call it. So we're turning west down Pine now. So going towards downtown, you can obviously see the downtown skyline. We won't be able to see any of the water from here, sadly, but you can at least see what it looks like. Here's a club on the left. This is called Massive Club. This actually, my past clients helped open. So I've been there. It's a fun nightclub. It's more LGBTQ focused or accepting. You have other gyms over here. So there's Rival Gym on the right here. There are other little gyms throughout Capitol Hill that you can go to. On the right also is Mercado Luna, which I have another Instagram about. So again, you can see lots of different things. There's a lot of cool little shops here, like home goods stores. There's like art supply, plant stores. So there's a lot of different things down here. There's a Blue Dot right here. Of course, ramen on the right, Aesop on the left. So a lot of cute like little shops and stores to go into, as well as great dining. So Broadway is one of the streets that I mentioned. It used to be a little bit more popular on the north end, and a lot of the expansion of Capitol Hill started moving into the south end, into the Pike Pine corridor. They're not that far apart. You could walk between them. They're probably less than a mile. And a lot of people still enjoy the north end of Broadway. There's a lot of people who are on the north end, still love it. There's a lot to do up here. A lot has come in the last few years. Just more has also moved south. So Pike Pine is really what connects Capitol Hill to downtown. And so it's a little bit more of a thoroughfare to get from the neighborhood down the hill to downtown. But Broadway also has a lot of amenities. When Pride happens in Seattle, there's a big street fair on Broadway, so it's kind of the main epicenter to be in. Heading back down, we're going to wrap up this tour of Capitol Hill down here on Boren. It was really the street where we crossed over initially to start our tour of Capitol Hill. And here in front of us, you can see the brand new convention center right on the other side of Boren. And on the left is the first apartment I ever lived in, and the dog park right in front of it. So that's really Capitol Hill. That's what we have to see. We're looking down at downtown now, and this is where we will end our tour. There you have it. It's actually sunny in Seattle. I can't believe it. I am having to be in the shade right now because it's sunny. So that was a tour of Capitol Hill. Like I mentioned, one of my favorite neighborhoods in the city. Capitol Hill is very much a place where a lot of people who move to the city end up to begin because of the nightlife, because of the restaurants, the scene that you can go out and enjoy in the city. I think it's a really good place to start living in Seattle, especially if you want to meet people and if you're looking to have a really fun nightlife and do a lot of different things. So I really like Capitol Hill. It's a super fun neighborhood, has that combination of condos plus townhomes plus single family homes, and it's just a really fun spot to start living. I find it super enjoyable and really There's never a boring moment in Capitol Hill. It's also the central area for the LGBTQ life in Seattle, or historically. We do have more branching out here and there, but it's definitely the main spot. So hopefully you enjoyed this tour. Let me know if I missed something. If you have questions about Seattle, or if you have questions about buying or selling real estate in Seattle, you can book time with me below. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you want more videos like this.